Donald Trump's tantrums are fantastic right now. No sooner did a lot of his favored candidates underperform and in many cases lose on election day than he began on Truth Social going after Ron DeSantis, who many very clearly thought it was very clear that he would be the next poster boy for the GOP, a Trump light that plays well with the corporates. Anyhow, so in the last 24 hours, Trump's tirade has included posts about QAnon memes, DeSantis rants, and racist remarks, among many, many other things. But on second glance, during his flip out about Ron DeSantis, did he admit to criming? You be the judge. Here we go. As he's yelling at DeSantis, he truths, so help him God. I also fixed DeSantis' campaign, which had completely fallen apart. I was all in for Ron, and he beat Gillum, but after the race, when votes were being stolen by the corrupt election process in Broward County, and Ron was going down 10,000 votes a day, along with now Senator Rick Scott, I sent in the FBI and the US attorneys, and the ballot theft immediately ended. Just prior to them running out of the votes necessary to win, I stopped his election from being stolen. Wait a minute, you sent in the FBI? I had not heard about that. I thought all your election claims about Stop the Steal started in 2020. But no, apparently there was a prequel that we hadn't heard about. What's the situation? Who knows? Well, someone from the Washington Post, Philip Bump, tries to clarify. We'll all be the judge of what he says happened and whether it's true. 2018 was a remarkably good year for Democrats, except for Florida. Their Democratic advantages in gubernatorial and Senate races evaporated, leading to narrow Republican victories. DeSantis won by about 30 votes. Incumbent Governor Rick Scott won election in the Senate to the Senate by about 10,000 votes. Because the race was so close, as he says, Floridians had to wait for all the mail-in ballots to be counted before Scott's race could be called. But DeSantis' race was called on election night. As you can see here, AP Politics tweeted, breaking, Ron DeSantis wins the election. That was on November 6th, that's the day of the election. There was a pre-call earlier. But after the race was called, DeSantis' opponents did close the lead and the margin tightened, but it wasn't enough to overturn the results as people had thought they would be, and called them at the time when they thought they could be confident enough to make a call. And 2 days later, Rick Scott raised concerns about Democrat interference in his race, but there was no stolen election narrative around DeSantis' election. And so this is what Bump writes. The question then becomes, did Trump ask the FBI to shut down the vote count in Florida on Scott's behalf? There's no evidence that he did. That's what they say. By all accounts, the process of counting ballots in the targeted counties continued slowly, not without contentiousness, until all votes were tallied. An investigation later determined that a number of problems had surrounded the counting in Broward County, but none of them that affected the outcome of any races. There was no evidence of rampant illegal voting. So long story short, if you read that and you're like, is he just unhinged and rambling? Is he wrong? Is he lying? Or is he admitting to a crime that he didn't need to admit to because he's so stupid and angry that he forgot to cover for himself? The answer seems like it's probably he lied. But Cenk, thoughts?
Yeah, so look, to be fair to him, is it really stupid to admit crimes? He's admitted dozens of crimes on national television. He's like, oh yeah, I fired James Comey because he was investigating me about my connections to the Russians. Well, you can't fire somebody like in that position because he's investigating you. And there was never any consequence. There was never any consequences for all those crimes. Merrick Garland's still twiddling his thumbs for trying to figure out, oh, well, he stole national secrets. Gee, I wonder what I should do about it, right? And the list goes on and on. So he can admit any crime he likes. He can literally say, I shot someone yesterday at Mar-a-Lago, and then I dragged them up and buried them next to my wife at my other golf course. And nobody will investigate him. Or they'll investigate him and they'll do breathless reports about, oh my God, there could be an indictment soon. Oh my God, indictment, maybe, right? And then nothing will ever come of it. Because, so yes, if that's true what he said, and by the way, MAGA, I mean, there's a great question that Brett's asking, but I want to ask you, MAGA, so do you think he's telling the truth? You're gonna be, oh yeah, of course he's telling the truth. Well, then that's a crime. Awkward. Or do you think he's lying, that he didn't commit a crime, but he was just bragging about committing a crime? Which one is it? Because it's definitely one of them. okay? And then if you say, well, he was bragging about committing crime, but he didn't really commit it, because you want to get credit for the crime. Do you? Do you? And the reality is, yes, with the right wing, if you admit you're a criminal, they're like, boy, that's how you're strong. You sat in the feds and the deep state and you rigged the election. There's no, you can't talk to MAGA. But that goes to the point here, which is, look, Brett's gonna tell you more. Full nuclear meltdown for Trump. Full scale attacking Ron DeSantis. The war has begun. He's firing not the first shot, the first 200 shots, right? He has no brakes in the car, right? He's going after Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, for no reason. I literally cannot fathom. Youngkin never said anything. He's just randomly he's finding random Republicans and punching them in the face, right? And that's what he does. And by the way, MAGA loves that. And so this is going to be the biggest fight of my lifetime in politics. The entire Republican establishment against Donald Trump. And for all the people saying, oh yeah, Trump is done. He ain't done, man. The only one set of people get to decide, and that's the voters. And if you think the voters have abandoned him already, you don't know anything. So I'm not saying that he's gonna win. I'm not saying the voters aren't gonna leave him, because his one Achilles heel is electability, okay? But it's gonna be a knockdown, drag out fight, that's for sure. And you're already seeing it.
Max, what do you think?
Like, one of the toughest jobs in this country is trying to figure out when Donald Trump is admitting to a crime and when he's just been up for 3 days and he's hallucinating and he thinks that he's talking to a press conference. It's entirely possible that he's made this up. And the reason I think that might be true is that this would be the only thing that did not leak out of his administration immediately. This is a White House that was not really known for secrecy or competence. And the idea that anyone would be able to keep a secret that big for more than 6 minutes or as long as it took to get the Washington Post on the phone just beggars belief. At the end of the day, Donald Trump does not have the forethought or the competence to pull off something like this. He himself would probably have told the press about this if he'd done it.
Yeah, look, we're the fairest show in America. I'm serious, because number one, here's all three of us saying he probably did not commit that crime, okay? We all hate Donald Trump, but we're being fair. I don't think he committed that crime. I think he's just lying. It's one, and but you're saying he's lying. Dude, come on, get real. It's one of his 2,000 lies today, okay? So, but I don't think he committed the crime. And by the way, to be fair on another point of view, did he help Ron DeSantis win? Was he critical in Ron DeSantis winning the first time around? Absolutely, 100%.
That's the thing. That's what's weird about the tone of the misguided nature of this tantrum. What you should say, Trump, is without me, you're nothing. But what you shouldn't say is without me, you're nothing, and then you dumped me, and then you went on to great success. There's a difference there. You can't say that you tooted and booted me. That's not you sounding awesome. You need to be the person who uses other people in order to adhere to this weird strut your stuff alpha dog thing that you're doing. What you're saying on Truth Social, which isn't even the beleaguered Twitter, is shouting into he's got all the stuffed animals up on the table and on his bed, and he's yelling at them like they're real people. That's what's so sad and pathetic about it in my book.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.